Electric superchargers from eBay. Everybody's talking about them and they're cheap.
And they can be installed in minutes, but will you get the massive power gains that are promised on the box? Today we find out on Mighty Car Mods. Okay, so we got this email from Joseph and he says, hey guys, I love the show. I've got a 1 litre 3-cylinder Daihatsu Charade and I want to put on an electric supercharger from eBay. How much power will I get? Now that is a good question, so I'm going to send Marty with $100 to go buy a Daihatsu Charade and bring it back to the dyno.
$100.
Yeah dude, and make sure it has Rego now if you go. This is an early 90s Daihatsu Charade. It's rough, but it's also hella flush direct from the factory. It's got rust, mold, and a 1 litre 3-cylinder engine that's perfect for our electric supercharger experiments. Okay, so we're down here at Port Hacking Automotive with Ben again, who's our dyno technician, expert and guru. Now I just wanted to make something very clear because the last few times we've been down here, a few people have left comments or emailed in and saying the problem with dynos is that there's no air moving. Now these people have clearly never been to a dyno and don't understand how they work. So I just wanted to show you this big thing here. This is a massive industrial fan, and that's what sits in front and pushes air into the car to make sure it doesn't overheat. How much air does it push out? It simulates the kind of air that would be running through and over your car if you were driving down a highway. So that is a fan, that's how a dyno works. Now let's do a stock run and see how much power the Charade is making before we put the turbocharger on it. Got a massive 24.4 kilowatts. We're going to do a second run to confirm the results. We've got 23.5 kilowatts. Okay, so there are a number of different superchargers available on eBay that range from $20 or $30 up to the creme de la creme, the best you can get, which is this kit here. Now this one cost us over $300, but it does have some pretty exciting features, so I thought I'd run through some of them with you. It works on any engine, carby or not. We've checked with the manufacturer, so it's fine for our Charade. It adds power on top of your existing engine mods like chips, front mounts, those kinds of things. You can put it on turbocharged cars, apparently to reduce your lag. Now this will give you, it states here, up to 5 psi of boost pressure. Now that is the kind of boost that you'd get from an XR6 Falcon Turbo, so that's pretty impressive. We'll also be able to develop up to 50 horsepower of power. Now, our stock car got 31.5 horsepower. Now, if we can develop an extra 50, we're kind of tripling our power, and we should be seeing about 75 kilowatts based on those figures. More realistically, it says we'll get 15% increase across the rev range. So that means we'll go from 23.5, 24 up to around 28 kilowatts, which is a really good increase for something that only costs a couple of $100. Now to prove all these claims, of course, there's dyno figures on the back there to show just how much extra power and torque has been made. It's pretty exciting. The kit gives you everything you need to put it on, so we're going to install it and enjoy all the extra power.
Okay, so this is a conventional exhaust-driven supercharger. Turbocharger because it's got a turbine on the back of it. The exhaust goes through there, spins the wheel, which spins the compressor and makes boost pressure through here. This is a particularly big and awesome one. Now that turbo itself is going to cost you well over $1,000. By the time you put it on a car, you're probably looking at over 10 with all the stuff to make it work properly. So it's quite incredible that for $300 you can get something that does the exact same thing. I'll show you how they work. This is the conventional turbo, that's the compressor wheel in there. That's the compressor wheel on an electric turbo. You can see this spins, they're exactly the same.
Ben's worried the car's going to make too much power, so he adds some extra safety straps. The install is really simple, it gets put in before your intake.
So people have been wasting their time all these years, spending their time putting on conventional turbocharged systems. This system can be installed in just a couple of minutes and gives you the exact same results.
Once the supercharger is installed, the positive and negative are connected to the battery via a relay.
Okay, so that's the switch that operates a relay that gives the fan juice directly from the battery. You can attach that either to the accelerator linkage on the engine, or you can stick it under the pedal because you're only supposed to use it at full throttle.
It's time for the first run with our electric supercharger.
Amazingly, we've gained 2 kilowatts and Marty's pretty excited. To confirm our results, we're removing the supercharger and going for another run.
We've made more power without the supercharger attached, and Moog is not happy.
Oh, shit! Hey Ben, there's something wrong with your dyno.
It doesn't work, man.
Your dyno's broken.
We didn't get
That was come down here.
Just had it calibrated.
I don't care if you just had it calibrated. All this work, all this time putting a turbo on, your dyno's rooted, mate.
Don't get easy.
Ben thinks the supercharger may be adding load to the electrical system, which is making the car lose power. So we're going to run an external battery and power the supercharger from outside of the car. Ben explains that if the supercharger works, then we're definitely going to see power gains on this next run.
Remote power source.
We're now not drawing any power from the car's electrical system.
We lost 0.1 of a kilowatt.
We're starting to worry that we've wasted our money, so we do another run, hoping to see some of the gains promised on the box.
So if you want to supercharge your car but you don't have $300 for one of those superchargers, you can do it yourself for half that.
That's right, we're just going to use some basic kind of stuff you can find around the house and show you how to twin charge your beast for only $150. You need $20 worth of ag pipe, a T-piece and a silicon joiner, some pipe and a couple of leaf blowers. Ben says if we don't make power this run, he's going to cut our legs off for wasting his time. So if we get a tape measure, we'll just measure, basically measure the distance between there from the front here, and then if we measure that same distance from the bonnet, if we just do it, Marty's trying out one of the new colour changing hole saws. So we're just testing to make sure that Marty's impromptu measurements actually work, and sadly they actually work. We're just going to cable tie this on here, make sure we've got a good seal. This will poke out here, T-piece, V-mounted twin charger, the first in Australia. We're V-mounting the leaf blowers for extra power, not just for the short pipe work, but for the extra street cred. That's not going anywhere, mate. That's basically engineered.
This is the weirdest shit ever, that's for sure.
We good? One more, mate. The leaf chargers are securely attached. Now it's time to plumb it up.
Good one.
Not only is ag pipe good for draining your garden, it's flexible, cheap, and great for supercharging. Okay, so this is how this incredible system works. We've got our twin chargers here and here. They're going to be compressing air which is coming down these pipes. It's going to be going into this T-piece which is then going down directly into the intake. The whole thing has been sealed professionally with gaff tape. So it's going to compress in there. We should be making around 50 to 60 kilowatts at the wheel, so we're pretty excited. A massive 27 kilowatts. On our second run, we've got a massive 27.6 kilowatts, the highest figure of the day. It's clear on the dyno graphs that the leaf blowers have made the most power. The reason that we've lost down low though is the turbo lag. That's why, because you can see the purple and the white, there's less power than any of the other runs, but then they slowly go up and take the lead.
Yeah,
so
man, it comes on boost.
It's just, it was spooling, but when it gets to around here, it hits boost, and our leaf blowers are making more power than any of the other runs, so I would call that a success.
Electric superchargers. They promise so much yet deliver so little. There's so many models to choose from, but they all have one thing in common. They are just fans, which work great for ventilating a toilet or cooling your face, but not nearly efficient enough at this size to supercharge intake air on a car engine. A fan this size of this construction would never be able to make usable boost that you'll actually feel while driving. Turbos, which are turbine-driven superchargers, spin over 100,000 times a second in order to create usable boost and take huge amounts of exhaust energy in the form of heat and pressure, and there's no way that this eBay fan delivers that kind of performance. Moving air doesn't take much energy at all, but to actually compress it and create boost pressure, you need a lot of energy, more than any cheap fan is going to be able to supply.
So this is where we're at. The eBay Supercharger literally does nothing. It is irrefutable, inarguable, it does not work. It is basically a glorified computer fan.
That's right. Now, fans are really good at moving air, but that doesn't mean they're good at compressing it. Turbos work in a totally different way, much higher speeds. You're never going to get anything out of a little engine like that.
So we did lose a couple of kilowatts with the eBay Supercharger. We saw a couple of kilowatt gain with the twin V-mounted leaf charge system. Now, the thing to note about that is each of those leaf blowers has around about a 190 kilometre air speed coming out of them, and we have 2 of those, but again, they're not compressing air, they're just fans that are blowing air.
That's right, and that has a little bit to do with intake runner length. It can be to do with temperature. Getting 1 kilowatt on a dyno really is not a noticeable difference in the real world.
So the eBay Supercharger is busted. In fact, it's not a supercharger, it's just a fan in a pipe, so I'm going to call it a fan pipe. But the leaf blowers are working, so I'm going to flick them both on because there's one thing left to do. There's a detailed technical article on the Mighty Car Mods forum about these electric superchargers, so check it out. And coming up, we show you how to upgrade a real turbo.